Hey, what's up? So I haven't been uploading on YouTube for the last couple months. It's because I was actually on a trip. I just got back, but I plan on uploading a lot more this year consistently. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would consider doing so. But today I want to share a story with you of something that happened to me over the last month or several months. And the main reason I want to share this story is because I want to walk you through my mentality through the entire process. I'll give you as much context as I can, and I'll probably skip over some of the details, but I feel like this is a pretty unique experience that I also feel like everyone will go through in some form at some point in their life. So I hope you find this at least interesting. So if you don't know, my day job is I'm a software startup founder. So we have a software company. I've been working on it for the last 8 or 9 years. And my goal for this has always been to build it up and then sell it, right? And then basically the dream is like sell the company, you have a bunch of money, retire, use that money to, do whatever you want, and now you're free, right? That's always been the dream. The issue with having a goal or a dream that could happen is like you just thinking about it all the time. You live in the future. You always want that thing to happen, and then you realize your current life and that life is really different, and you get sad, right? So over the course of the journey, you're pretty much like trying to figure out how can I not live in the future? How can I stay in the present? And there's a little bit of a battle with yourself, right? And I think it's pretty common for anyone. Another thing that really happens when you're doing a startup or I think any company really, is you get really, really extreme news, right? So something really good could happen, right? You could have a crazy deal that would, make your company super successful, or you could lose that deal, or something really bad could happen. You're going to lose your company because, some employee did whatever, right? So there's always really extreme news up and down. And I think anyone that's done any sort of, startup kind of develops this skill set where you just try to stay very even keel. You don't react super positive news. You don't react to super negative news because it all ends up being okay, right? And I think if you did react to that news, your mind would explode, right? So for us, even though my goal has been to, my dream has been to sell the company, we actually decided, hey, we're gonna run a process this year. I think we're at a point where we can actually potentially sell the company. We hired a banker to help us. We kind of ran through a process. Long story short, throughout the 3 month process, the entire time I was like, I was hopeful that we were going to do it, but I also understood if we didn't do it, it's going to be fine, right? So, anyways, over the course of the 2 or 3 months, we do all this, whatever, and then at the end, we get these offers, and they're like fair, but they're not super great, right? So we decide, okay, you know what, like let's just not do it, right? Because we wanted to be super happy when we do it, and I was a little bit disappointed, but I knew this was going to happen. I did kind of get my hopes up and up, but then yeah, if it didn't happen, I was fine. We kind of thought about, oh yeah, if we do sell the company, we still have to work here for another certain amount of time. You're gonna have a boss now, so there's a lot of downsides to it as well, right? So I was totally fine. And then but then we decided, hey, you know what? Let's counter offer something that we really want, and if we get it, we'll be happy. If we get it, we'll be happy. If we don't get it, we lose nothing, right? So that's what we do. We counter offer, and then I remember I was in Taiwan, and then like I forget it's like probably like 10 a.m. and I'm still sleeping because it's like backwards hours. Anyways, my co-founder's like messaged me, hey, like can you call? Like let's talk. And then he's like, hey, they countersigned. I was like, oh shit, they countersigned. So that means like we got it, right? And then you would think that I would be ecstatic, but the feeling I got was, huh, like it was like nothing, right? I just felt like, oh, okay. And then I started wondering. I was like, oh, how much money do I get? And all that stuff, right? So I started worrying about, oh, how much money do we get, right? And I think what happens typically is like, you raise money and your cap table gets, you get diluted or whatever. You don't really know exactly how much percent you own. I didn't really know because, and also if you want to find out, you have to pay like a lawyer to do all the math for you or whatever. So I didn't actually have an idea, and I had an idea how much I had, but I didn't know the exact amount. Anyways, we do the math. I find out I'm like a little bit less than what I thought I was gonna have, right? Which is not, it wasn't significant, but to me at the time it was really significant, and I was like upset, right? I was like, and keep in mind, I'm like the amount of money I'm getting is like life changing money, right? So like, let's say I'm off by 10%, so it's like, what's the big deal? But for some reason that was really important to me, and so that kind of bothered me a lot, and I was like getting really greedy, and I felt like unhappy with the results, and I was like, we suffered for so long, and this is all I'm getting. And then, I kind of went through this thing where I was like, we didn't even have time to celebrate, right? I started like just thinking about all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, and there's all these fees and taxes and you got to think about. And I was like, oh, this is like not what I expected. Um, and then I kind of went through like, this week of where I was just like unhappy and like really greedy. I kind of regretted a lot of things I did during that week. And then after a while, I was like, okay, like let's kind of slow down. Let's think about it. This is actually a lot of money, and your expectations are just way too high. And like everything is fine. Like this is still really good. This is what you want. This is literally what you wanted for the last 8 or 9 years. So I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, right. It's right. It's fine. This is good, right? But I never felt that sense of like, oh, we did it. Like that joy. Like that you would think you'd be super happy, and I never really felt that joy to the extreme where I felt. I think after a week, I kind of was thinking up to myself, and I was like, okay, yeah, I did it. Like I achieved something. Like I felt a little bit good about it for a few days, and then once I kind of like it kind of became more real. I basically started worrying about, oh my god, what if the deal doesn't go through? Like, what if it doesn't go through? What if it doesn't go through? Like, what if they find something or whatever? And then, like, typically how it works is like you give them upfront information, and then they do diligence, and like as long as you don't lie about anything, it's pretty bad form for them to back out of the deal, right? So obviously we didn't lie about anything. Everything was pretty good. We started like some initial diligence, but like during that time, they're asking for stuff we're giving to them. I'm like, oh, like, what if they worry about this? Blah blah. And I was like, dude, for like a whole week, I was like, just like low key stressed that we're gonna lose the deal I wasn't actually happy with, that now I desperately want, right? And I was talking to my brother, who's also my co-founder. He's like, yo, like, why are you like? I was telling him how I felt. He's like, dude, why do you even feel like that? He's like, why are you worried that we're gonna lose it? Because if we lose it, we can probably just get another one. Like he was like, you have a very scarce mindset, and I was like, oh yeah, why am I worried about it? I do have a very scarce mindset. It's like, why am I thinking so like, why I'm holding on to this thing so tight? Like I can't lose it, and it's like giving me anxiety. So we kind of talk it through, and I'm like, okay, I decided, you know what? From now on, I'm gonna have an abundance mindset, right? And then I think for me, like I'm able to do that because I've had abundance mindset previously. I just like for some reason, something switched off for me, right? So I was able to switch it back on, and for the next week, I was like super happy. I was like, oh yeah, if everything's being fine. If it happens, it happens. Doesn't happen, doesn't happen. Everything's chill. And then basically went through like a week of that, and then long story short, I was like in Japan, and then I get a call from my co-founder. He's like, "Yo, can you talk real quick?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hey, they backed out," and I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "And it was something internally with them. Like they couldn't get whatever. I don't want to go into details, but it had nothing to do with us. So it was pretty bad. It was pretty unprofessional on their end because they actually came to us for the offer or whatever. Anyways, basically, I lose this deal, and all the money that I thought I was gonna get that I had already earmarked in my head is gone, and that the dream that I was trying to achieve for the last 8 or 9 years is now gone, right? And I feel nothing. I don't feel. I feel a little bad about it, but I remember how I felt 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy with it, right? So I was like, why am I going to be unhappy now? Obviously, I did start thinking about, oh, all these things I thought I was going to do, I can't do it now. Um, and then yeah, but then I was like, okay, that just happened, and yeah, it's gone. But because I experienced that initial, hey, you almost achieved your dreams, and I remember the feeling, which is not what I expected, which is not pure joy. It was actually unhappiness and disdain and like regret for things we did in the past that didn't work out for while we're here. I I actually didn't feel that bad about losing the deal, right? So so it's a really interesting experience because like people always tell you like, hey, when you achieve your dreams, like you can't live in the future. When you achieve your dreams, you're not gonna be that happy, right? But you feel like you will be, right? Like even like like a month ago, if you told me like I wasn't gonna be that happy, I wouldn't believe you. Now I believe it. Even now, there's like 1% thing where I'm like, oh, if I got this deal back, I'd be happier, right? But deep down, you just know you won't. So I'm telling you that right now. You may not believe me, but the point is like, if you're not gonna be happy with what you have now, you're not gonna be happy in the future. That's just how it is, right? I basically achieved what I wanted. I basically thought I got what I wanted for the last 8 or 9 years, and I wasn't happy, which is crazy, right? It doesn't make any sense. So here's what I've learned about this experience. Number one, I felt like I really wanted this deal to go through when I had that scarcity mindset. I really want this feeling of achievement, right? I wanted to feel like I achieved something. I want to be able to say, "Oh yeah, like I have this like is I've sold a company and I succeeded. I achieved something. I've done something, right?" And I just wanted that approval internally or even externally, right? To prove to myself that I did it. But then the question is, why do I need to be able to have that in order to feel that achievement, right? Why can't I just feel achievement from how far we've gotten, right? And then like how come I need a certain amount of money to feel that achievement, right? Right. So at what point does it make sense as achievement, and at what point doesn't? So I decide that, right? So I can decide to feel achievement right now. Why do I need some external factor to happen? So that was like a big thing I learned. The second thing I learned is like you really can't forget to have a growth mindset. It changes the same exact news that happens to you. It can change your reaction to it, right? And like all the cascading effects of your actions based on how you feel will have exponential differences in results. And the third thing I learned was definitely you're not going to be happy when you get what you want. You're not going to be happy when you get what you want. You think you're going to be happy when you get what you want, but you won't be. So you need to learn how to be happy now. And I know I'm saying this, and it doesn't make any sense because, like, hey, what if you win the lottery for $5 million tomorrow, right? You're gonna come back to baseline. So it's really your internal feelings and thoughts, that your inner work, that will determine how you feel. It's not really gonna be your outside, your outside experiences, because those will go away, right? So yeah, that was kind of the experience I had. I know it's kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, like that's what happened to me, and I feel fine about it now. I will admit, like, yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be nice if I had this bundle of money, but then at the same time, when I thought I had it, I wasn't even happy, right? So it's like, yeah. And then one other thing, big thing I learned, it's really important. In the beginning of this video, I said all I want to do is I want to make a bunch of money and then retire and do nothing, right? That's been my goal, and I realized, like, if someone asks you, what are you gonna do after you retire? I'll be like, oh, I'll focus on this. I'll have time to, like, work on this or learn this or just do, travel or do whatever. And it's like, why can't you do that now? Why do you need to be retired to do that? And I was like, yeah. Why can't I do that now? Why do I have to wait until I'm, you know, I achieve something in order to give myself the permission to do these things? So yeah. And then, like, the amount of money I want to spend when I had a bunch of money is not something that I can't spend now. I'm just holding on to that money tightly, right? Because I'm worried about losing it. So yeah, yeah. Basically, it's kind of fucked up for someone to be like, "Here's some money, I'm take it away," and then you get all excited about it. But then that experience for me was actually a very interesting one, and I learned a lot about myself. And hopefully, by watching this video, you can learn about it yourself as well. You don't have to go through it, so then you can start kind of figuring out what you want to do in your life that's not based on something that's gonna happen in the future. So cool, man. Hope you find this video helpful. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. And I don't know, join my Discord, whatever. Yeah, cool. See ya. Thanks.